the guys who have had the unbelievable careers, like the real true top 20, top 25 guys, some of those guys were able to have this second life. Like Kobe's a great example, your guy. Kobe has the second peak from '08 to basically 2012, right at the point when you kind of could go either way as a superstar, right? You could move into that next stage where you're a star, but Kobe has this 2.0 thing. Jordan had the same thing. Even Duncan, who was so steady for so many years, but figured out how to play with like basically 1.5 legs. One of his knees didn't totally work. I wonder with Harden, like sometimes that's it. You know, your body changes, and if you don't do enough to fight it off, you kind of are who you are. So in a way, I'm more impressed that he's able to still get a lot of the production that he used to get when I don't feel like he has the same quickness anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought. And like, just to kind of dig into it a little bit, I think a lot of the guys that you're talking about, and maybe this has something to do, you know, with the way the game is played today versus I'd just be interested to see how the player like James Harden, if or of the like, right? In this game where everyone has the ball in their hands and there are these amazing shot creators and there's all this space, but you're often like very far away from the basket, which requires either deep threes or really good first steps to get where you want to go, right? How do you evolve into a different player? Because Kobe, like, you know, I guarded him for a lot of his career. He just, you know, when I guarded him in Philly, we were out on the perimeter when I was really young, and he was like a relatively young superstar. Like, he was beating you with his quickness. You know, it was, but then he just became surgical, like on the elbow area or with his back to the basket, and so it didn't have to beat you with pure athleticism anymore. You know, MJ did that too. Yeah, like it became a different game for them. Tim D did it a little bit where I'm better than you. I'm more cerebral than you. My skill level is higher. I might not jump the same or have the same twitch, but I've just reinvented myself as this offensive player. But the game at that point kind of lended itself to being able to do that because you had players touching the ball on all different spots of the court. Now everyone touches it basically in the same place, out on the perimeter. And so it's going to be interesting to see as guys start to lose those steps. Like, how do they reinvent themselves as scorers if that's their job?
Dirk's another good example of that. Dirk, just basically second half of his career just masters the foul line. It's like, I'm going here. Nobody's done this quite this way before, but this is now my spot, and you're not going to be able to stop me. Kobe.
Paul Pierce did it too.
Yep. And I think you mentioned LeBron, not the same guy athletically, but has also reinvented himself in some really smart ways, right? He has that crazy step back three that if I'm the other team, up until about 2 years ago, you're throwing a party every time he does that shot in the last 3 minutes of the game. It's like, please keep shooting that. And he would shoot it sometimes if he was trying to get in some mano-a-mano contest with some shooter on the other team. Ultimately, a bad shot. You always want him going to the basket, posting up. Now it's like he's got this crazy step back three that he makes more often than I'm kind of prepared for. I actually don't know how it goes in as often as it does. And then he's also around the rim a lot more than he used to be. I mean, considering going back to the JJ Barea days. But he can punish people now, and he's stronger, and he's figured out like this whatever 3.0, 4.0 version. So I guess with Harden, I mean, we're talking about the same thing. What is the reinvention stage for him? Because he's reinvented himself a couple times, especially like 2017-18 range when he was basically like point guard, 3-point shots and free throws. That was it. Now he's kind of like point guard James, but you know, there's moments, really sloppy moments, like the Cavs game I was watching yesterday where, you know, he just knocked over somebody when he had the ball because Garland just jumped in, got a charge from him right under the Cavs basket.
You know, just to defend him a little bit, like when you're playing the point, I had a knockdown drag out with my 13-year-old the other day in practice. Like, he absolutely hated me, told his mom, like I was every name in the book, right? But he's changing from a 2 to a point. And it's a really difficult job. And that was after cooler heads prevailed and we sat down, that's what I said to him. I said, listen, man, this isn't going to be easy. Like, you're making a transition from a player that's got, very limited responsibility for what the team looks like as a whole to one that is really orchestrating everything that takes place. And so as that pertains to James, in the in 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 the chaos that is the Brooklyn Nets team from night to night, it's got to be really hard for you to look great when you're trying to orchestrate and make all this music and all these instruments fit in, and you never know what instruments you're going to have from night to night. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you don't, a lot of your instruments aren't orchestra quality instruments, right? And then, sometimes your orchestra quality instruments are there, sometimes they're not. And so just in his defense, I think kind of their unstableness as a team might lend itself to him not looking, great at times.